Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Fishing with Kagan. In this one, we're heading out to Wabasso, Florida for a day of kayaking, clear water, and hopefully some fish. Now, today was a little different because it just so happened to be Jerry's birthday, but it almost didn't happen. The sun was already up by the time we hit the road, and that's because the night before, Jerry was running a fever and feeling wrecked with the flu. We weren't even sure if we were going to make it out, but he rallied, got up, and made it happen. Birthday fishing mission back on. It had been about a month since we'd been in the kayaks, so we were both pretty fired up to get back on the water. First casts of the day? Of course, we started with topwater because why wouldn't you? The water was crystal clear and the conditions looked dialed in, but topwater just wasn't the move. We gave it a shot, but nothing was committing. Still, the vibe was good, we were back in the groove, and the day had promise. Now, when Jerry and I fish a shoreline, we've got a system. Jerry really enjoys fishing the kind of inner wall of these mangroves close to the trees, and I enjoy sitting right beside him and casting maybe 6 foot or so out from where he's casting, and then we just work the shoreline. Unless I see structure, then I go off to the structure. But this area wasn't doing much for us. After working it over for a while with nothing to show, we decided to burn a little shoreline, keep our eyes peeled, maybe scare up a snook or a red and figure out where they were hiding. But for whatever reason, nothing. Not yet, anyways. I'll be honest, it's hard for me to call it on topwater. There's just something about watching that bait work across the surface, waiting for a blow up. But eventually, I packed up the Yozuri and made the switch over to the Silver Fox, my silver and gray rod. Excited to use the bait that I had picked out the night before. Chartreuse jig head, silver flake body, pearl belly, and chartreuse tail. It looked perfect, and I was excited to throw it. But once I started working it slow along the bottom, it was clear it wasn't going to work. Too many weeds, too much drag, it just wasn't the move. So I cut off the top water from my other rod and rigged it up with a classic, weightless, pearl white fluke. The idea was to pitch it underneath the mangroves, close to those tree roots where the big ones like to ambush. And yeah, it had been a minute since we fished from the kayaks, and when you're that low to the water, casting changes a little. You've got to adjust your angle, your release, it's a different feel. It took me a few tries to shake off the rust, but I was getting it back. Now, I'm not a big talker when I fish. Half the time, I don't want to spook anything, and the other half, I just don't want to stop fishing to talk to the camera. So, yeah, you'll hear more after the cast than before it. It was finally time to focus on what I had really come out here to work on. Dialing in those casts under the trees without getting snagged. Pitching tight to the mangroves, threading the needle, and trying to hit that perfect pocket where a fish might be waiting to ambush. Now, between being kind of short, sitting low in the kayak, and having good but not great polarized glasses, sight casting isn't always easy for me. But there are plenty of other ways to see the fish without actually seeing them. Big head wakes ripping through the water, tails flicking at the surface while a fish feeds below, and that telltale nervous water where bait is spooked. Those signs are just as good as eyes-on confirmation. One of the things I love most about kayak fishing is how close you can get to structure. You just can't match that kind of proximity from a boat with a motor. You can slide quietly under docks, along mangrove edges, and into little cuts without spooking a thing. It's a big advantage when you're hunting pressured fish. And every now and then, it pays off in bonus ways, like spotting a lure someone else had to break off. Being able to reach out and grab it from the kayak, that's a win. Lures aren't cheap, and hey, you can always swap out the hooks. After a little while of working the shoreline, I finally got on to the first fish of the day.
What are you? Oh, little. Oh, jeez. Hi there. Oh, grunt, 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 grunt. Hey, little guys. Come here. Come here. Oh, jeez. You went after that pretty good, huh?
It was one of my favorite fish to fight, a jack crevalle, albeit a very small one.
First fish of the day, nice little jack. Here he goes.
That little jack had absolutely punished my bait, pushing the hook right through it. But luckily, soft plastics are forgiving, and I was able to slide it back into place and keep casting. Now, I know jacks are common, but I still love the fight, especially with the bigger ones. They hit like they've got something to prove. We kept working the shoreline, cast after cast after cast, but we just weren't connecting with much. Definitely not anything we'd be proud to snap a picture with. And with it being Jerry's birthday, I was really hoping the bite would turn on. But hey, that's why they call it fishing and not catching. Even though the fish weren't where I was putting my bait, I was still proud of a lot of my casts. This trip was as much about practice and dialing in my casting as it was about landing a big one. I tried switching it up, cycling through my go-tos, pearl white, silver and white, and my current favorite, that midnight and chartreuse fluke. But right as I was about to give it a proper test run, we met up with our friends, John and Regina. We floated for a bit, caught up, and then picked our directions. With 4 of us out there, we had to divide and conquer. We couldn't all pile into the same stretch of water. So I peeled off and started heading towards a spot that looked promising. On the way, I was casting across this open stretch of water when...
I'm having to change my bait now because that's what happens. That's what it looks like when you get chewed on by a toady. Took all that out of that bait. That's how much they chomped out of that.
Yeah, that happened. Normally, Jerry and I fish side by side, but this time I wanted to break out of my comfort zone a bit, go solo and see if I could make something happen. I had my fingers crossed I'd get to send him a photo of a solid catch. But it wasn't easy. The wind had started to creep in, and that's one of the things I struggle with the most in the kayak, trying to keep the boat steady and make accurate casts at the same time. That wind doesn't give you much of a break. Still, it was just another thing to practice, factoring in the wind, adjusting your angle, and trusting the cast.
Oh, we gotcha. Oh, we gotcha. Oh. Come back here, baby. Oh, look at that. Right in the boat. Ah, nice little snook for us. Okay. Alrighty. Alright. Nice little snook. Another little guy of the day. Little snook there for us. Little cutie. Alright, here we go. That's that goal, casting up in the mangroves like that. Another nice little snook. Alright. Trying to tell if this looks like it'd be deep enough up here. Oh, alright, I've peaked. That's it. It's never gonna get any better than that. is. Gosh, you know, sometimes you just make a cast and you're like, that was definitely fish worthy. That was 100%. That one that I skipped felt really deserving of a fish. We're on something. Oh, we're on something. Where are you? Oh, it was a little snook. Oh, shoot, it was a little snook.
I'd managed to catch a few very small snook, and yeah, it still scratches the fishing itch, but you just can't help wanting to hook into something bigger, something that pulls back a little harder. That's when I stumbled onto one of the most beautiful little mangrove pockets I'd ever seen. It felt like striking gold. There's just something about finding a mangrove tunnel that makes everything click. It's like finding that missing piece that really makes an adventure feel like an adventure. It was quiet, shaded, and untouched. And in that spot, I hooked onto the biggest fish of the day, an absolute monster snook. She hit hard, gave me a few solid head shakes, chafed up my leader, and snapped me off before I could get her to the boat. The whole thing happened so fast, but the thrill, that stayed with me. And of course, I didn't get any of it on camera. Moments before it all went down, my GoPro overheated and shut off. I was so frustrated. That moment was gone. The one I'd been hoping for, gone. And to be honest, that ended up being one of the last videos I ever filmed with a GoPro. Since then, I've switched over to the DJI Osmo action cameras. Way more reliable, especially in the Florida heat. And no, this is not an ad. I'm just still salty I missed the shot and grateful not to deal with that overheating problem anymore. Luckily, I did get to film the mangrove tunnel itself. And man, what a view. Gliding through that tunnel felt like stepping into another world. It's the kind of moment that reminds you why you do these trips. It's not just about the fish, it's about the places they take you. Those little pockets of wild that make it all feel like a real adventure. Not long after that, we decided to call it for the day. Early, at least for us. Jerry's fever was starting to come back, and we figured it was time to get off the water before it got worse. But the day wasn't over yet.
So we made it home from Wabasso. I got the kayaks all cleaned off. You have to do that with salt water to make sure that your equipment does not get damaged. So those are all cleaned off. The Hobie drive systems are clean, paddles are clean, our rods. That is extra important to make sure that you clean the salt water off your rods. Now, the last thing to do is to clean the fish that we got today. So Jerry reeled in a couple of nice little snapper that we can harvest here. We're gonna do that next.
There's a lot about fishing that I find really cathartic. Tying on hooks, rigging baits, cleaning fish at the end of the day, it's all part of the process. And when you actually get to bring something home and put it on the dinner table, it gives you this quiet moment to be grateful for the day, for the fish, for the time spent doing what you love. It's a chance to reflect and start looking forward to the next one. And of course, like always, nothing goes to waste. Our pet lizards, our little garbage disposals, got the scraps after a hard day's work. If you enjoyed this trip, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment. I'd love to hear your stories, your tips, or what you'd like to see next. Share it with a friend who's into kayak fishing or just loves the Florida water. Thanks for coming along for the ride. Until next cast.